Hey guys, this is Christy. I call myself the Skeptic Medium. The reason I'm making this video is that I received a massive download today. Massive download of information. For those of you who've been following me, you will know that I had a revelation not long ago of needing to find out more information, that there were things that I was missing that I needed to know, and that I had to start seeking. And I did start doing that. And so the story that I'm going to tell is part of the revelations that I have received today. Huge, a lot of them. So I will probably only talk about one segment of it for now, because it's a lot of information to take in. I would like to say that for those of you who are hearing this, you are ready to receive this information. Not everybody is. Over the last few years, I've been gathering people who follow my page, and I feel that each one of you is on my page because you are ready for this information. I feel that going forward, more and more of my work is going to be to receive these downloads and to share it with the world. And I would ask those who listen to these videos to visit me on the Skeptic Medium page on Facebook, and I would ask that you consider making donations to help me to continue with this work. I have lost everything virtually, and I am virtually homeless. And I do believe that it has all happened for a reason. Right now, I am sitting in my caravan in a terrible storm. I'm not showing myself because my camera on my phone doesn't work properly. So it was stolen. We had a robbery a few weeks back and my phone was stolen. And I had to buy a second-hand phone, so it's not working so great. But I think it can at least record my voice. So I'm just going to try and gather my thoughts so that I can tell you a bit about what I have received. Okay, I'm going to share with you the part about the aliens. I had quite an interesting situation with regards to encounters with aliens or understanding them better. I received this information in a deep state of trance and in a deep state of hypnosis, you could call it. And in fact, some of it today, I actually left my body. I actually had a couple of out-of-body experiences. Some of it I can't share though because it was personal to me, but some of it I can share. Alright, so regarding the aliens, we are in fact ruled. The world is ruled and has been ruled for the last 10,000 years, about approximately, give or take. I feel as though it came in slowly, so it's not an exact year. They didn't come in suddenly, but they made their way to Earth. I was told that they actually did arrive from elsewhere. They are not from here. When they arrived here, and I think it's got a lot to do with all these ancient megaliths, and they started communicating with us and shared information with us at that time, shared technology with us, but they very quickly figured out how easily we were to manipulate and how desperate we were to worship gods, and so they became our gods, these lizard people. And they chose to use shape-shifting technology. It is a technology. It's not a magic trick, and it's not some magic power. It's technology that enables them to mask themselves. And they use this technology to mask themselves in human form. but to declare themselves gods. And so we have with the pharaohs declaring themselves gods. And from there, we have had a lineage of these lizards who consider themselves, or have set themselves up as gods, gods over this world. And they managed to infiltrate not infiltrate, they actually created it. They created the high society. And they have been using us as slaves and food. And they have been breeding here, so they have become more numerous, but they are very slow breeders. Their life cycle is very short, very much longer than ours. And they are, they're very aware of our history far more than we are, because we die with our history, each generation, whereas they are here a lot longer, and so they can pass on knowledge. So basically they became royalty. They became all the royal lineage, all the lines of royalty. They are almost all the royalty that we have are lizards. Almost all of the wealthiest people in the world are lizards. And the most powerful people in the world are lizards. Very sexual, very, very carnal and sexual, and they encourage us to be the same. It does seem as though they enjoy breeding with us, or having sex with us anyway. So what these lizards did is they put up a barrier. They put up a shield around the earth at the time they came, which cut us off from our knowledge of our divine inheritance. We went into darkness. We no longer knew our spiritual heritage, and we no longer knew about the dimension which is closest to us. There are multiple dimensions, but we used to have we had a dimension, but they split the dimension into two. And so the spiritual side and many of the creatures that we used to be able to see, which we could call mythical creatures, and the aliens and so on, were cut off. They're cut off from us. They could see us, but we could not see them. They know about us. But they're also kind of separated. And they've been trying for a long time to get through, to break through this barrier. And this barrier is starting to come down. And this is why there will be more and more sightings of aliens, of strange creatures, dragons, fairies, all sorts of creatures we're going to start increasingly to see. I was shown that the shapeshifters, which is the lizards, are cut off from source. They are cut off from divine light. Whereas we are still connected to it. They aren't. And they truly live in a state of debauchery, wickedness. I'm sorry if my thoughts seem a bit scattered. There was so much that I've got to try to recall what they were showing me. Okay, so I'll go back to the greys. So the greys are in fact grey-skinned. I am shown that they're small. At least the ones that I visited with were small, long, thin, much like the aliens that we know of in the movies, or that we've seen drawn and depicted with a large head. Large, elongated head were the ones that came to me. Not wide, but long, going backwards behind them. I was shown that they have to wear a suit when they jump over into our dimension. When this barrier was put up, our atmosphere changed, and this is when we started to have a blue sky and blue sea. and it's going to change back to what it was before, which seems to be white, very bright and white. It's going to change the way the earth looks, and it's going to change our atmosphere. So I'm showing that some of these greys managed to figure out how to get through. And what we call portals, these portals that are known, where you can jump through into these other dimensions, are real. The portals are getting bigger, and there's more of them. So it's as if the shield has been broken in patches, and from there these patches are going to get larger and larger. We are meant to have this knowledge, and so it is starting to come to the earth. Our minds are starting to be prepared for this, and it's going to come in sections. They're not going to bombard us all at once. But there are definitely weird things happening in the sky. They're letting us know that they're coming. They're letting us know that all is not as it seems. Something really weird is going on. And we needed to come to a knowledge of the lizards, and this is going to become well known. It's going to become more and more common knowledge that the lizards are who have been controlling us. So I was shown that what these lizard people do is they install lizard people into, as I said, all sorts of positions of leadership and power. Sometimes they simply put in a puppet. Now, this is not necessarily a human, but more like a clone, a robot, mechanical. But in some cases they use humans as well. It has to be the right kind of human, has to be debauched, has to worship them. So basically, you know, they've set themselves up as what we would call Lucifer. They're not Lucifer at all. They're simply lizard people. They're not gods. They fancy themselves as that. It seems over time they've actually managed to convince themselves of that, but they're not gods at all, though they like to think they are. The human race has been extremely easy to manipulate all this time. And they've given us technology, but the technology they've given us was really to enable them to do what they needed to do, to monitor us, to hypnotize us, to keep us distracted. This technology, this is what the aim was. And it kind of ended up backfiring on them because the technology has enabled us to get with the program, to find out what the hell's going on. The reason he was not supposed to get in and why there was such fierce opposition to him getting into power is because he is not a lizard. He's not one of them. Certainly he belongs to secret societies and he knows the secret society world, but he is a human. And what sets him apart from the other lizards is that he doesn't eat children. So this is a big dividing factor amongst the leaders of the earth. And so they set out to do whatever they could to destroy him. And it's all backfiring. They've tried to use the technology that they have and all the people that they've placed in positions of leadership, in positions of education, and doctors, all the greatest experts of the world, all the influencers, music icons, anybody that could be of any influence, they put into positions where they could control everything. And it's all backfiring. It's all blowing up in their face. And this is what they are desperately trying to halt. They know that the end is in sight. The end of their reign is in sight. I'm just going to have to stop for a while. One of the pegs on our tent has come out. So it's, I think, no, it's not that. It's just the rain. There's just rain that's come. Okay, so I'm just going to, sorry, it's distracting being in the middle of a Cape winter storm while trying to talk to you in the middle of the night. Okay, so I'm just going to try and go back to my... Sure, my mind is so full of stuff, so full of information. I've got to try to set this out for you in a way that makes sense. Okay, so I was talking about the leaders and all the positions of power, the media, all of that has been infiltrated by these lizard people. And so what's been happening? Coming into power is that they are actually being hunted down. And so what they're doing, there's fewer and fewer of them, though we don't know it. There are fewer and fewer of them. And then what they do is they bring about a replacement. So what's happening is that they're using at the moment the guise of the person's got COVID, and then they disappear for a while, and that's because they have actually been, and then they present a new sort of a clone, or it feels mechanical, and they're trying various ways to present their leaders that they have chosen as being alive. But there are definitely holes in this, so it's not working as well as they would hope. So we're starting to see the technology breaking down that they're using, and because they're having to use it so widely, they're having greater and greater difficulty with this. And they're also very expensive to create. These clones is expensive, very, very expensive. Part of why they are needing to siphon as much money back to themselves as they can right now, because of the situation is costing them a lot of money, a lot. Children are being saved, tunnels are being exploded, they are being hunted down in their hiding places, and they're being very cautious and careful to make sure that the genuine ones, because he is not anti-humanity, he is anti-lizard. And the notes that he gave to all of those people at George Bush Sr.'s funeral was about the fact he told them, I know what you are, and you are going down. That's what he told them. And they were in some disbelief because they were left scrambling. So all the people that got those notes he knew were lizards, and he knew that they were going down, that he was going to take them down. And so they set out to destroy him, and they started the Russian hoax nonsense to discredit him in any way that they could. They did that, and they went after him full-heartedly, and they fooled many people. But they didn't fool the right people. They fooled those who are very disturbed. They fooled those who have issues, have serious personal issues, are not happy with life, are actually quite miserable. Those are who they managed to get on their side. The rest of the people who were like normal thinking, logical, reasonable thinking human beings knew it was a good thing. They knew it. Somehow they just knew it. Even if they didn't agree with all of his policies or who he is, or the kind of person he is, they knew it was good for the world. I did not receive any information because that worries me, but they did not show me anything about that, so I don't know what that's about. The other thing they showed me was that Putin is also a human. He's not a lizard. That he is also pro-humanity, and that he is working together with the White Hats, what we call the White Hats, He is working together with them. Even though he hobnobs with all the right people, he is not one of them. But this is also why they have launched an attack. The media has launched an attack on Russia, because the Russian president is human, and they don't like that. And he's also very resistant to their wiles and seduction. And he has chosen humanity. In fact, it wasn't hard for him to do it. They have been very involved in the politics of Russia, although they have not actually infiltrated Russia. So I've actually been shown that the Russian people are pretty special in that way. They did orchestrate the revolution where the Tsars were not lizards, whereas the other royal families were. They would have taken over and shapeshifted into the Tsars if it wasn't for the fact that too many people knew about the execution, and it would have been too suspicious. It's like the Russian people are too awake and aware to have bought into that, but there were also too many enemies, so they did not resurrect, as you might call it, the royal family. But they tried to basically destroy Russia through installing these maniac leaders with their wild communist ideas, Marxist ideas, very anti-human ideas. And Russia suffered for many years. The people suffered. But that has been turned around. Putin is turning that around. So they are definitely trying to discredit Russia, and they're trying to discredit endorsing or human. He is identifying who is definitely human, that is not a clone, and that is why he's endorsing those people. Or they have not made a deal with the devil, so to speak. They haven't made a deal with these lizards. And so he's had to really do his investigating of who's who in the zoo. He is actually cleaning out the swamp, we just don't know it. We just don't realize it. And they can't talk about it at this stage, or they're not talking about it at this stage. I'm sure there's still a lot that I don't know. I've been shown that the lizards have known about the Bible. They were not the authors of the Bible, but they know about it, and they know that it's one of our important texts. And so they are also aware of revelations. And so what they have done is they want to set themselves up as Lucifer. And they want to make sure that revelations happens, but they are also wanting to show that Jesus will not come. Unfortunately, the second coming isn't going to happen. That there is not going to be any rapture. This is not going to happen. They know this. They know it's not going to happen. And so they want to set themselves up as the God, the next great God that everybody worships. Want to try to take us back to that. They want to bring us into a one world order, as you know, a one world religion. The religion will be to worship them. That is the plan. It's the greatest way for them to control humans. So that's what they're going to do. But they're not getting it right. The White Hats are interfering with this. They are jumping in and out of different timelines, changing the timelines to ensure that World War III does not happen. Not in its fullness. And so they're actually trying to stop World War III because it is these lizards who have been preparing us for World War III through prophecies and through making sure that Revelations comes true. And so, yeah, that whole plan is for World War III to take place because they have a belief that if they cannot get this right and they cannot be gods any longer, they are going to take humanity with them. They're not leaving this earth without wiping it out. That's their plan. They either win or they wipe it out. And the problem is they actually know that they're going to fail at this. And so they're doing their best, and they're fast-tracking their entire plan because the humans got wind of this. And the humans started using the technology that they had given them against them. In actual fact, it was through artificial intelligence that we actually managed to figure out what they're doing. We actually utilized artificial intelligence, which was able to perceive what they were doing, or at least to predict it statistically, predict what is actually going on. And this is where you should read up about Operation Looking Glass. That's one of the technologies. It's a real, actual technology. Very interesting. And that they knew that all timelines lead to the same place, which is the end of them, end of the reign of the lizards on planet Earth, and the taking down of the barrier that they put up 10,000 years ago. That is what is coming. So I was shown that these greys and other species move between the two dimensions, and like Bigfoot, giants, other creatures that are able to move between the two dimensions. And as I said, this is going to become more common. We're going to start seeing more of it. It's going to be recorded. They are deliberately appearing in camera footage. They are deliberately letting things happen on live TV, that things can be seen of what is actually taking place. And so here in South Africa, there was that footage of the SABC guy busy talking, and that woman disappears in the background. She's walking and then she just disappears. That happened on live TV. This is one of the greys who is shape-shifting, which I'm told they don't do often. They choose not to use it. They only use it for good, or at least the good greys use this cloaking technology for good. And so they appeared as that lady, and they let her disappear on live TV so that we would see something is not right here. Something weird is going on. Weird is going on, and it's not a matrix. I don't feel that this is a matrix. I know this is becoming a popular line of thought. I don't feel it's a matrix. I don't feel we're living in a simulation. I don't think that's what's happening. I think it's a simulation, or the matrix seems very defeatist. And that is not what this is about. Okay, so then I'm just going to talk about Putin attacking Ukraine. This was very specifically because the World War was going to be started from the Ukraine. The Russians knew it, the White Hats knew it, that Ukraine was a problem, and it was going to be a platform for World War III. And they needed to go in there and shut it down. Lots of lizards in the Ukraine. They went in there to kill lizards. That was actually what they were doing. I mean, of course, they were amassing their troops and NATO and all of that, which is true, which is part of the problem, and that's what they are. That's what Putin is revealing. He's not revealing the other stuff. Not to mainstream people, because people are being prepared for this knowledge. They are being given it bit by bit, so it cannot all be revealed at once. People will lose their minds. They will lose their minds. So this cannot happen. It has to happen very slowly, incrementally, to the point that it's almost going to be like normal, like, oh, there's one of those alien things again, and oh, yeah, that. There's one of those people disappearing again, and all these weird things that are happening. It will become actually normal to us. This is like, oh, yeah, no, that's how the planet works. We will come to think like that. Okay, there was another thing that I wanted to share with you. I've just got to try to see if I can find it in my memory. Regarding the greys. Okay, so the greys that came to me were really good. Very helpful, kind. They said that I needed to tell my daughter that they're not bad. She is very scared of aliens, obviously because she's aware. By the way, for any of you that don't know, I've got a rainbow soul daughter. Very, very special soul. And so when she knew that I was going to start asking for these aliens to show themselves and to tell me what they are, she was scared that I was going to put in some bad stuff. And so I just needed to tell her that they are not bad, the ones that are here with us. They told me a bit about their species. They don't have those big black eyes. That is, they do wear a suit when they're here on Earth, and there are some of them that actually crossed through the dimension and chose to live here amongst us. But they do not tolerate our atmosphere. I'm told that their skin dries out. They can't. So this is why they wear these suits, to protect themselves from our atmosphere. They have to go when they live without their suits on. They have to create an atmosphere that has more moisture, otherwise they dry out. So my daughter asked, what would it be like to touch you? And they were very impressed with this question, because they said not many people would want to know what it's like to touch us. Interesting that would be her first question to them. What do they feel like? And they said, it's a bit like somebody that doesn't want to touch a snake, like you. You're scared, you don't even want to know. It's like, I don't want to touch a snake. Yet here she is, this curious person about wanting to touch their body. I did feel that as they are now, if they had to take off their covering, it would be slimy. They have to sort of coat themselves with something to keep their skin moist. This is also why they tend to live underground. They can't tolerate the dryness, the heat of the planet. And so they wear these bodysuits to protect them. These ones were small, not very tall, shorter than me, and very thin, so perhaps the size of a child. They told me that there were bigger ones, much bigger ones. They said it's like dragonflies. There are many different species of dragonfly, but they're of the same family. So there are large ones and different shaped heads, and I guess just like we are all different, we've got the Asians and blacks and whites and so on. All part of the same species, which is what they are like as well, also part of the same species. So I was told there are different ones, and there are some mischievous ones and some pretty vicious-looking ones. Not pleasant, not nice. But these guys that are with me, I don't know if I can call them male or female. They're friendly. They're friendly, and they're good company. They warned me that they make a noise, which I wouldn't like. That would scare me. They are contemplating appearing to our family in their actual physical form. I didn't see them in their physical form. This was a communication in deep trance. And they said they're contemplating showing themselves, because I've actually requested that they do. But it doesn't look likely. They said it's not likely. But if they do, we will hear them before we see them. And they make a funny noise, like a noise. It's almost like I think it's like a sonar signal to one another. And so we might be very frightened by that noise. So they warned me of that. So if you hear that noise, you can know that they're around. Otherwise, they're silent. It's just that noise that they make. And it seems to be some kind of a sonar signal. Okay, so I'm going to leave the alien story there. Please post any questions that you have. And please consider donating and supporting me as I go on this journey to share this information